the Edtech giant Byju's. Remember, Byju's had a valuation of $22 billion, which got slashed consecutively to a point that it is now at a little over $5 billion. Now, a lot has gone down. Not fortunate enough for the founders at Byju's. A lot has gone down with corporate governance issues at this Edtech giant. Remember, its books have not been audited for the last 2.5 years. Its auditor, Deloitte, has resigned. Independent board members, which included both independent as well as the venture capitalist seats that were represented on the board, being resigned last week. And there were rumors that brand ambassador Shah Rukh Khan may not continue his association with the Edtech giant. And now there's a new twist in the tale. The new twist in the tale suggests that an extraordinary general body meeting, an EGM, was held yesterday in which shareholders of Byju's asked for Byju Raveendran, the founder and CEO, to step down and make way for a new interim CEO. This comes again on the back of all the corporate governance issues as well as a $1.2 billion loan book not accounted for, no means in financial reporting suggesting that Byju's is in a position to repay that $1.2 billion loan. And that's not all. There is a lawsuit of $500 million in the US against Byju's. Now, what does this really mean for the shareholders? What does this mean for the company as a whole? And what does it mean for corporate governance in the startup ecosystem in India? I'm joined by my colleague Amit Ranjan. Amit joins me here in the studio. Good morning, Amit.
Good morning.
Good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
Good. Raining outside.
Yeah, raining.
Raining at Byju's too.
But it's not raining funding
not
in the Indian startup ecosystem. What happened? What happened at that EGM yesterday, Amit?
It seems Mr. Byju Raveendran has been asked to step aside at least till the dust settles down.
Okay.
So, and make way for a new CEO who can take stock of matters anew. That is one. And two, the stakeholders, the investors basically are asking for an account of the 910 million of the $1.2 billion loan, of which he's also facing a lawsuit in the US, as you mentioned.
Okay.
There is no basically account of this, it seems, in the pro forma that has been submitted to these people. So that was the major bone of contention, that these funds have been misused. I would not use the term misappropriated, but misused. And that is the explanation that was being demanded of Mr. Byju Raveendran and his close associates who are part of the board members. So that is what the information, the little information that is coming out of what transpired in the EGM was about.
So tell me something, Amit, does it make sense right now at this critical juncture that Byju's finds itself right in the midst of? At this juncture, does it make logical sense for the CEO, who seems to be one person who knows something that the books are not reflecting? He knows exactly where those funds came from, if at all those funds came, and where those funds got deployed. Remember, yesterday, there was a statement, day before yesterday, a statement by Byju's, which suggested that the $408 million that was sold, and the stake of the three founders that was sold and taken in cash in lieu of, was redeployed in the business. But there is no audited financial statement available. The only three people who seem to know this are Byju Raveendran, his wife, and his brother. The only three remaining board members on Byju. So at this critical juncture, does it make sense for the CEO to resign?
What you are stating as the problem, as the solution, probably is also the only problem. That they are the only people who know. The stakeholders want to know what they know, and if they know it for such a long time. Remember, we have been talking that for 3 years, we are into the third year where their books have not been audited. Something that was even basically why Deloitte seemed to have complained about and left. So, if they know this, and they have known this for such a long time, and they have not done anything about it because they have come to this pass, the estate of Byju's has come to this pass, then it is time for them to make way for somebody else who can look at the whole situation brand new and take probably new decisions. which will be probably maybe hard decisions, which these people, being founders and members of the family, are not willing to take or do not have the heart to take some really hard decisions. And that is why I believe they have been asked to step aside at least till the dust settles down.
So we're talking about an interim CEO right now till the time the dust settles. But settling of this dust is not going to be easy. Remember, they are faced with corporate governance issues of not just books not being audited, a lawsuit in the US, $500 million no less, 3,500 employees sacked, and in general, the Edtech market not performing at the levels that it was performing at during the pandemic. So overall, the business model takes a hit. The corporate governance issues, books not audited, lawsuits add to the financial woes. And add to that, this EGM demand for an interim CEO. Do you see this company surviving?
Everything right now, because whatever is, should be known is known only by Byju Raveendran and his close family associates, who are the only board members left. They are the only ones who know. So we are in the realms of suspicion right now of what could be the worst. And that is what I believe is what the stakeholders are suspecting. And if what they are afraid of knowing comes out, then some really hard decisions may have to be taken.
But the question is, who's going to take those hard decisions? Because there are no independent board members.
As a founder, it is harder.
The family controls up to between 19 to 24%. The three, Byju Raveendran, his wife Divya Gokulnath, and brother together control about 24% of the company. And there are no independent board members. It's not a listed company. And who takes that final decision on stepping aside, stepping down, or not?
Once the information is out, at least that decision can be recommended. So that is as far as it can go. But right now, as I said, we are in the realms or in the space of suspicion right now. We don't know. But obviously, there is something that we don't know, which is difficult to digest, at least for the founders. And that is why they don't want other people to know. That is what I can basically gesticulate from what's going on.
Okay, I've also got my colleague Krishna Kumar joining me this morning. Krishna, good morning. How does it feel to be on the other side?
Well. Talking about the rains in Noida, it's raining like Bombay here in Noida, non-stop for an hour. Nobody's going to believe this. It has never rained in Delhi NCR where the rains last for an entire hour in full force. So I know people have tuned into this broadcast for a good business news update, updates on economy and finance, but I can confidently tell you that the first update that needs to be given here is that monsoon is in full swing. This is very good for the economy. We're talking about the June rains being lesser than expected, but looks like July is set to make up for it. Bear in mind, July is the main monsoon month of India across the country. If the rains in Noida are anything to go by, I can 100% be sure that in Kerala and Bombay and wherever else we need monsoons for agriculture, there's enough that's going to come our way. But talking about Byju's, Karthik,
it's not raining any sort of funding in Byju's.
It's raining problems in Byju's. It's raining miseries in Byju's. And the one question that we haven't asked till this morning, having discussed Byju's throughout the entire week and the week before, is that guy going to step down?
Should he step down? Does it make sense for him to step down? See, objectively speaking, Krishna, I believe the amount of the magnitude of problems, the magnitude of issues around corporate governance are so huge that had this been a publicly listed company, there was no way that the CEO would have survived.
Look at what's happening in the Tata Group. For example, there's a governance issue in TCS, a really peripheral one that doesn't involve any of the top management. It happened in TCS, and today, this morning, we understand there's a similar problem in Tata Steel as well. Look at what's happening. The chairman of the Tata Group, not just the MD and the CEO of the individual Tata companies, the chairman of the Tata Group takes it upon himself, hey, this is a corporate governance issue. We can't take it lightly. This is the kind of issue that will lose investor trust, shareholder trust, stakeholder trust. Or the trust gets lost when there's a governance issue. And the fact that Byju's has been sitting with these kind of governance issues for so long.
2.5 years, at least. At least.
My concern is, I thought it really raised alarm bells when a company doesn't file its audited financial statements on time.
My point is, Krishna, I agree. And I think I have been an equal advocate, if not more, suggesting that these corporate governance need to be really stemmed now. But the point is, there are only 3 people left on the board of Byju's, including the founder and CEO Byju Raveendran himself. Who takes the decision for the CEO to step down? And if the CEO steps down, who replaces the CEO and takes charge of this mess?
Right.
Is it even a palatable solution?
Can
The
I-
shareholders can demand.
I have a counter argument for it. We are in India. India is a country of family-run businesses. Strangely, the most new age of all businesses, tech-based businesses, which wasn't fundamentally family-run, because the moment they got investors on board, they had a larger board, other people happening, has now been reduced to a family-run business.
And three.
Right.
Just three
Just
people.
three. And here, you're right, like your point, you got exactly three. All of them are family members. The responsibility lies square on one family. Nobody can say in this board constitution that I didn't know what board member 2 was doing or board member 3 was doing. All 3 board members knew exactly what they were doing. So the question is, if you ask me, you take it further, it's not just about Byju Raveendran stepping down, but should Byju's be run by the same family which founded Byju's?
And if not, who takes over? The point is, right now, at this valuation, dirt cheap, one would argue that at 5 billion, it's an easy target for any edtech company to step in, or a non-edtech company to step in and expand its portfolio into education. But given the overall slump in the edtech market, I doubt it's going to be viable even for somebody to buy it at this reduced valuation.
Karthik, correct me if I'm wrong. Any valuation of a startup that's over 1 billion makes the startup a unicorn.
Correct.
Right? Byju's was a 22 times unicorn.
It was a decacorn twice over. It was a decacorn twice over.
Now it is still 5 times a unicorn. My question is 5 billion the bottom for Byju's as far as valuation is concerned? We're talking 5 billion based on Process, the Dutch investor in Byju's, which has a minority stake in Byju's, called Process, a Netherlands-based investor, reduced its own valuation of its stake in Byju's, which sort of alludes to the fact that the overall valuation of Byju's is at $5 billion. Sure. If somebody were to now Sameto the whole thing and put together Byju's businesses, White Hat Junior, how it's doing, Akash. Yeah, there is Zest money also involved somewhere.
Right.
God knows, so many things happening over here. When they put it all together, will the valuation come down? Will it stop being a unicorn? We can ask questions like that right now. So my point is that if somebody were to come in and take over, I think they will revalue the business. And maybe from 5, it will go down to 2. And even at 2, it's a unicorn. So
right. I think there are various theories of evaluating the valuation of businesses, and some theories suggest that 10x of your profitability or 4x of your revenue seems to be a good calculation. But again, the point is, in the absence of any financial reporting, how does one arrive at that figure?
What is Byju's profitability? We don't know.
We know the losses. We know the losses. Profitability is still elusive.
And in a sense, to me, if you ask me, revenues as well. When you don't have financial audited statements, who's to believe that the revenues that they claim to be getting are the real revenues?
Absolutely. So will he or won't he, is Byju Raveendran going to step down, step aside, make way for an interim CEO? Or is everything going to run typically like a family-owned Lala business? It's my money, it's my company, it's my decision. I think that is something that we will obviously keep our eyes completely glued to, and through our eyes make you see the inside story of what is happening at Byju's.